to Horror Hour.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Get you. The dead follow
You are going to die tonight. Here's Johnny.
All right. Welcome to the Horror Hour, a place where we discuss, debate, and disagree on all things horror. My name is Yutaka, and today I'm actually really excited because I've got Chris Cullari and Jennifer Raite here to talk about their new film, The Aviary, which premieres this Friday in select theaters, digital, and on demand. And it certainly made me continue to look over my shoulder now. So thanks you all for that. I would like to know how you all came up with this premise.
Yeah, it was a couple different things that kind of all fell together. We knew cults have come up in a lot of the work that Jen and I have done, or questions of belief, certainly. And so it's a space we've always been interested in. And we were trying to figure out how to tell a story kind of about the way that we live in a world of literally influencers and followers now.
Yeah.
And how difficult it can be sometimes to discern where your opinions and attitudes about something start or end and someone else's begin. And so all that, we were discussing it, and then we kind of had the opening image of two women running through the desert, and they look back at this building that you can't quite, something in the distance, and one of them keeps going, and one of them looks a little too long. And as soon as we kind of had that, that all came together, and we were like, oh, there's something really interesting there.
Yeah, we really liked the idea from the jump too of it being a two-hander and having two different characters who were in the organization for very different reasons, who are bringing different secrets with them as they leave, and sort of figuring out how those pieces would play off of each other as the story unfolded.
Well, and one of the things too, I guess, in terms of one of my biggest fears, I would say, when I watch films is, well, claustrophobia in a sense. But then you also do the opposite, and you all give me this huge empty space, and then it's isolation, which I also cannot stand because it freaks me out. And so I'd love to know how your two actors really kind of, they gave it their all during this film, how they approached this.
Yeah, I think it helped that we were actually shooting in the desert, in wide open spaces. It was sometimes extremely hot, sometimes extremely cold. So I think there was, I can't speak for them entirely, but I would say Malin and Lorenza, there was an element of reality to the whole thing. And when we were out there at night in the desert with a campfire, and we were a small movie, so we didn't have a ton of lights out there, and even though we had trucks and people around, it falls off into darkness real quick. So there was a really eerie sense, even on set, of isolation, and maybe not paranoia, but it crept in.
Well, just the drive out there every day, there was this element of coming from being in the city of Los Angeles to, a bigger highway that still feels like it's in the city, to a narrower highway where it's just mountains, and then getting off and taking like a very country road to any of our locations.
Yeah,
you got a little warm up every morning going
to set. It was winnowing down, and that was, I think it's really interesting that you picked up on that, because we wrote this during COVID, and I think one of the things that was so interesting to us was kind of playing with, like, we spent all these months isolated inside, and yet we were writing a movie about being isolated outside, and there was just something in the air, I think, with the producers and the cast, and I don't know, it was just a really interesting, a different way to explore a feeling of isolation by doing it outside.
I mean, I also enjoyed that it really just added to the physicality of their roles. I mean, again, I feel like you both put them through hell, which I think is, I mean, that's the feeling I got. But one of the other things that I'd like to know in terms of the cult aspect, you know, I love that you touched on paranoia and, you know, there could be one person who has it and then eventually can just become like a festering within the group. And granted, there was only a couple of them. How, I guess one of the things I would like to know just from a personal level, what did you learn about yourselves while writing or filming this project in terms of how sometimes we can let others influence what may be around us?
Yeah, I mean, I think we definitely have a sensitivity to that as a creative team, because sometimes it's the best thing to have a shared vision and a shared goal with someone and to drive towards that. And sometimes you can have the exact opposite effect of one person can start to spiral and then you're right in there with them. Like a movie that we talked about a lot in developing this was Bug, which is, you know, a true descent into madness. So I think if anything, we will continue to be very sensitive to that of like, are we having a good day, or are we having a Jillian and Blair day?
Yeah. Every time we finish a script, one of us will tweet the gif from the end of Bug where they're just clutching each other and like screaming at the ceiling. Like, because that's sort of, you know, there is a very cult-like, not cult-like, but a very insular thing that happens sometimes when you're working with a creative partner and you do get on that same page and you suddenly find yourself, I mean, just yesterday, I think we were having a debate over something that I said that I was like, no, that was, I came up with that. And Jen was like, no, I said that a week ago and you just think that you came up with it now. And that happens so easily. And, you know, and neither of us is malicious. So it's very easy to see if you have somebody who can gain the trust of others who is malicious, you know, how easily those situations can spiral out of control.
Yeah. Another thing.
You're afraid of us now.
Yeah. Again, I really enjoyed the movie. So I love to be scared. I love to be like creeped out. And I enjoyed the progression of the film as, again, because you have so few actors, it's very, you know, you focus on the script. And I would be curious as to how it was just writing that process, because again, I loved the back and forth. I loved just how they interacted with their surroundings. And I'm curious, you know, how did you dive into that process?
Yeah, I think we're big believers in economy of story. So sometimes one of us will have an idea we think is great, and then the other person will sort of, you know, wave their big like, but how does this build? How is this a next step? So something we were looking for while we were putting the movie together was that, like, how does this next scene evolve what we've already laid out? How are we deepening the mystery or contradicting in an interesting way something we've already said? So a lot of it, when the two of us are putting something together, it's a lot of moving the pieces around until we think we're adding and adding and adding and not, you know, maintaining a status quo or going down too many narrative tangents.
Yeah, and here it was really important because we knew we were working with limited elements, and so it was really an exercise in, you know, in a straightforward horror movie, you'd have 5 people fleeing the cult and they get picked off, you know, and every 10 minutes you get a death scene and great, that keeps the story moving. But we didn't have that. So we still tried to approach it with the same feeling though, of like, all right, every 10 minutes or every 10 pages, something needs to send this story in another direction. You know, in lieu of a body count, we need like a mystery count. We need like things that are going to, and we knew we wanted those things to spiral inward and not outward. We knew we wanted each of those reveals or questions to bring us closer to the characters and more into their world, so that we could try to create that the same kind of madness that you get in Bug.
Well, it's interesting hearing Chris say that too, because I feel like this is a difference of perspective. Chris is like, how is it like a slasher movie? And I'm like, how is it like a tragedy? Like, how do they both have these two different secrets that it's like, if they just came clean, if they just told each other what was going on, maybe they would be able to escape this, but because of what's happened to them, they're incapable of doing that. So like that is the, I think, building inward that Chris is referring to. We're just we're coming to it from two slightly different places.
Yeah.
I loved the mystery and I really enjoyed that. Again, you guys kept me on the edge of my seat and you creeped me out. So I'm thoroughly happy that I got to see this. And I would like to know that I feel like it's been a really great past year or so of horror and thrillers. Actually, I would be curious, what is one of your favorite moments over the past year that either shocked you, whether it be a moment, a franchise, or even just a scene?
Yeah. I a couple months ago I saw another film from our distributor from Saban called Here Before, which I didn't know anything about other than Andrea Riseborough plays the lead, and I came at it with a bit of skepticism because it was about the protagonist starts to believe that her neighbor's child might be the child that she lost reincarnated. And I was like, oh, I don't know about reincarnation. And the movie just like totally knocked me on my ass. I feel like it builds in a really interesting way. It like the climax totally delivers. And I think one of my favorite things as a horror genre fan is finding something like that you like, no one has told you about it. And having it just be like an incredible surprise and a great piece of filmmaking. It's like one of my favorite films I've seen so far this year.
Oh, I love that. I need to put that on my list.
Yeah, it's great. And another first feature.
For me, I would say, God, it's tough. I mean, I don't want to spoil too much of it, but there was I don't know if it shocked me, but I think about it a lot. There's a scene in the new Candyman where a woman is killed in her apartment, and we see it happen from across the city, basically, like from a distance. And that really got under my skin. I think because I've, in my more isolated or scared moments in a city, wondered if that's how I'm going to go someday. Just an anonymous person in a window, you know, that there's a whole city and no one sees that you're gone. And that kill really got to me. It was more of a under the skin kill than a shocking kill, but man, yeah, that one shook me.
Man, you just made that kill more depressing to me. Ooh. Like that just like that kind of hit me in the heart on that one.
Yeah, I mean that. Yeah.
Well, that's our bag. How is it existential and awful?
Yeah.
Well, again, I just want to say thank you for taking the time to sit down with me. Again, I really did appreciate your film. I can't wait to see what you guys do next. I don't know if you're able to. What do you have next? Or you guys have something in the works or just an idea?
We're definitely working on some things. Nothing that we can share publicly. Nothing you're going to hear about next week. But hopefully, over the next couple of months, we might be able to talk about them. Yeah.
Well, congrats on the film. Again, I really hope folks go see it. I checked, it's not playing near me, but I will be rewatching this. Maybe with the lights on the first time, it was storming. I was like, I'm just gonna, watch. Yeah. But you guys did a wonderful job. And again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It was great talking to you. Yeah.
I got to get 3D glasses on.
Oh, yeah.
It's really good. Thanks, man.
You have been listening to the Horror Hour. See you next time.